What's the biggest red flag you ignored in a relationship? Story 1. We agreed on literally everything. It was uncanny. Never argued, much less fought. I thought I had found my soulmate. He was just mirroring me for years and was incredibly conflicted avoidant to the point that he would agree with anyone or anything so no one would be upset with him. Then years later, he hates me because I never gave him a choice and made all the decisions. Opinion. Ah, yes, a people pleaser. Story 2. My biggest red flag I ignored was constantly thinking about how my next girlfriend would not do X or would do Y. When you're constantly thinking about your next girlfriend but sticking with your current one, you are the red flag. Edit. For reference, I've now been married for 17 years. This was me back when I was dating before I started dating my wife, who I never once felt this about, because she is and was the one. Opinion. Or comparing current partners to past partners. Stop dating the best. Story 3. My first girlfriend was constantly fighting with her friends. Her mom, her dad, me, and even her stepdad. Eventually I realized there was one common denominator in all those conflicts. Opinion. Let me guess. It was always everyone else's fault. Story 4. They lied and then tried to make me feel guilty for questioning it. Opinion. Gaslighting 101. It's a terrible tactic that makes you question your own reality. Story 5. She showed up while I was hiking, fully made up with no sign of sweat, and claimed she was running, saying it was just a coincidence we ran into each other. After that, things got really strange. She started showing up randomly at my apartment, sleeping in her car outside my place, and displaying extreme jealousy and controlling behavior. When we broke up, she was with someone new in less than 2 weeks. It was a tough lesson about the kind of person she really was. Opinion. There is nothing scarier than an obsessed person. Story 6. The constant need to vent and find the bad in people and situations that ultimately boils down to insecurity. It's fine for the most part when you're both alone, but anytime they go to work, anytime you hang out with friends, anytime you visit their family, you don't hear the end of the negativity that went down. Life is never happy for them, and you can either be their punching bag for the sake of not wanting them to be alone, or you can take hold of your life and find happiness again outside of that relationship dynamic. Opinion. I think it's best to avoid overly negative people. There's nothing wrong with venting from time to time, but constantly doing it just sucks the energy of people around you. Story 7. I was dating a girl for about 6 months, and early on, she would often talk about how attractive other women were. She would mention how hot this girl was, or how beautiful that one was, and it started to feel a bit strange. Looking back, I probably should have seen the signs, but I didn't really think much of it at the time. I shouldn't have been surprised when she came out. It all made sense in hindsight. Opinion. To be fair, it depends on how it's said. I've seen many women compliment other women, and they never switched sides. Story 8. I went to high school with this girl, and looking back, she had a pattern of cheating on almost every boyfriend she had. It was something people talked about, but I guess I didn't pay enough attention or just thought it wouldn't happen to me. I ignored the red flags, and sure enough, I ended up being the next guy she did that to. In hindsight, I definitely should have seen it coming, and honestly, I feel like an idiot for not recognizing the signs earlier. Opinion. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Story 9. I once dated a girl who told me early on that there was something wrong with her, but I just brushed it off. She was sweet, charming, and seemed like the kind of person I could have a good time with, so I didn't think much of it when she mentioned it. She would say things like, "I just have a lot of issues," But I figured she was just being dramatic or had a past she wasn't fully over yet. As the time went on, though, I started noticing strange behavior. She would go through extreme mood swings, get irrationally jealous over small things, and become distant without any clear reason. But every time I tried to talk about it, she would insist everything was fine. Deep down, I knew something was off, but I didn't want to confront it or make it a bigger issue than it seemed. Eventually, the emotional manipulation and erratic behavior got worse. She would make excuses for her actions, and I would end up feeling guilty for even bringing it up. It wasn't until we had a huge fight that I realized how much I had ignored the warning signs. I should have listened when she said there was something wrong with her. Instead, I let it slide thinking it was just a phase or nothing serious. In the end, the relationship ended badly, and I learned a tough lesson. When someone tells you there's something wrong with them, don't ignore it. It's a red flag that could save you a lot of heartache if you take it seriously. Opinion. I like this phrase. Believe people when they tell you who they are. Story 10. He told me right from the start that he wasn't ready for a committed relationship and, in fact, he probably would end up cheating because of it. At the time, I was so swept up in the idea of us being in love that I honestly thought we could change things. I convinced myself that our connection was so strong, so special, that it would be different with us. I believed love could fix whatever he was struggling with. That maybe if we were together long enough, he would change his mind and be ready for the kind of relationship I wanted. But surprise, surprise, it didn't work out that way. Despite all the love and good intentions, he ended up cheating. I guess love wasn't the magical fix I thought it would be. Turns out, I can't just Netflix and chill my way into commitment. Lesson learned. Opinion. I can fix him. Story 11. She was the product of her mother cheating on her father and always went to her mother for relationship advice. Opinion. Let me guess. She cheated on you. Story 12. She said I always have another guy waiting in the wings in case things don't work out. I thought she was just drunk. Turns out I was completely wrong. What I didn't realize at the time was that she was serious. She was calculating, manipulative, and far more unstable than I had initially thought. It's all good though, because in the end I avoided a huge mistake. Since then, she's been married and divorced 3 times in the past 10 years. Opinion. I don't understand how people are okay with ignoring these kinds of red flags. In my humble opinion, you deserve whatever bad happens to you if you ignore them. It's almost like natural selection. Story 13. He was super secretive with his cell phone. I always had my phone out and let him use it, but he always kept his phone on silent and wouldn't let me touch it, even just to move it out of the way. It was always off limits, and if he suspected I had even moved it, he would scream at me. So, big red flag there. I should have left the first time I noticed that strange behavior. Opinion. On top of the phone being off limits, screaming for any reason is also a red flag. Story 14. My ex was and probably still is a kleptomaniac. She would literally hide things under her coat in the cart, shove things in her bag or pockets. I'm talking expensive Lego sets, bed sheets, meat. The most memorable instance was when she shoved a $50 plug-in water pick into her purse. She would purposely leave cans of pop on the shelf under the cart, and in the rare instance she got caught, she would plead ignorance, and the cashier would believe her. She justified it by saying we were poor and things were too expensive. It got to the point where I refused to go shopping with her after a few months together, but she would still do it when I wasn't around. I made it clear that if she ever got caught, she was on her own because I didn't agree with it. What should have been the breaking point was when I got a better job with much higher pay. I asked her to stop, explaining that we could afford things now, and that she hoarded most of what she stole anyway. It would sit untouched in closets for months. She responded by saying she would always steal, and if I didn't like it, too bad. It's been years since we broke up, and I am proudly with someone who is honest and works for what they have instead of being a thief. Opinion. It sounds like she needed mental health help more than anything. Story 15. When she pointed a loaded, long distance hole puncher at me when I laid on her side of the bed. Opinion. That's not a red flag, that's an exit sign. Story 16. She was talking to me on FaceTime while having bedroom fun with her ex. Yeah, that actually happened. I took her back, and we ended up having a child together. We broke up and now she's back with him again. Opinion. I don't even know what to say. Story 17. I'm gonna give you a 2 for 1. My ex and I started hanging out and getting close while she was in another relationship. She never cheated on him with me, but she was checking out of her relationship because of me. I was young and didn't think anything of it. Now, I would never do that to a fellow man, and never would enable someone else to engage in that behavior. We talked for another 2 months or so before becoming official. Shortly after we became exclusive, as in 2 or 3 days, she slept with her ex in order to make sure she didn't want to be with him. Again, I was young and mostly thinking with my small head. Even though we weren't technically exclusive, it was hurtful. Not to mention that she had cheated on one of her exes in the past. These things really should have cued me into seeing her toxic behaviors and cheating tendencies. Spoiler alert, she cheated on me. Opinion. If she cheats with you, she will cheat on you. Story 18. I dated someone with epilepsy. I was there for her during her surgeries, hospital stays, and took care of her during and after her episodes. Then I had to have brain surgery to fix an aneurysm. She told me, I can't deal with your stuff. I have too much of my own. She wasn't at the hospital before, during, or after my surgery. I should have known right then and there. Opinion. Being there for someone through their hardest moments only to be left unsupported when you need it most really sucks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.